Welcome to Lined Musings. In this video, I'm going to answer 8 more pen questions, and this is an extension of the video from last year that I'll just link up here. And yeah, let's just get started. So I just have the questions here on my phone, and I'll just go through them one by one. I think that'll work. But before I get started, I just want to thank Simone and Leanne Likes, who created this little video chain and bringing this community together with this fun activity. So the first question is, do you have different uses for different pens? Now I have quite a few pens, but I would say only a few of them actually have a designated purpose, and one of those is this TWSBI Diamond 580 pen. It has a piston ink filling system and can hold quite a bit of ink, and for that reason I have Diatramentis archival ink in this pen, and it holds up pretty well. I'm not sure how long I've had this ink in this pen, but I haven't had any issues with it drying up or anything like that. It just writes really well every time I use it, and I just bring out this pen whenever I need an ink that is reliable, black, dries quickly, and is waterproof. And the next pen that has a specific use in my collection is this Pilot 823 custom pen. And its use is just to always be inked with a brown ink. I did just recently clean it, so I might use this one to show you the Leatherwood Honey ink, but that has dried up. So what I will do is just dip the Pilot 823 pen in the Van Diemen's Leatherwood Honey ink, just so you can see the beautiful shade of brown that I always like to have available. I'm not even sure if this is a specific use for the pen, but anyway, I'm just going to show you what this looks like. This pen also has a vacuum filling mechanism, and it has a shut off valve, so you can fill it with a lot of ink and it will be fine because the valve prevents the ink in the reservoir from drying. And in addition to that, the cap has a seal, and it seals really well, so the pen has never been dry for me, and it's just always been an excellent writer. If anything, I would have loved to go back in time and purchase this one in a medium. I don't know, I feel like I used to love the fines and the extra fines, but in more recent times I've really enjoyed writing with medium nib pens or medium fine. But I digress. This is Leatherwood Honey, and I love this combo. It's usually inked with it, but I cleaned this pen over the weekend. So next up is this understated Sailor Pro Gear Slim in the color Meigetsu. And I usually have this pen with my Hobonichi Weeks, but my Weeks hasn't been performing too well with fountain pen ink lately, so it hasn't been with it as of late, but hopefully in the future we can bring them together again. But this pen is usually inked with a black ink, and I really like it because it writes like a 0.38 Muji pen, which is the ideal size for the Hobonichi Weeks for me. And a bonus one is this Sailor 1911S fountain pen, which I really like because it has the flexibility of being inked with any ink color, and I won't have a feeling that it's mismatched. I don't know if you can relate to that. But yes, moving on. Question 2. Actually, I'll just close this so that we don't have any ink spills. Okay, so question 2 is, how do you choose the inks and pens you will use next? This is a good one. I use the Hobonichi 5-year Techo, and I'm on year 3 of this journal, And that is where I predominantly use my fountain pens, or at least where I use my fountain pens on a daily basis. And so what I did in the first year is I changed out my inks every 5 to 7 days. And on the second year, I tried to select a color that complemented the first year's color really well. And so I am also doing the same thing for the third year. And I think it's just a really good way to change it up a little and also have the chance to use different colored inks. I'll actually just show you one of the pages so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is one of the pages in the 5-year techo, and you can see the 3 different colors over the years. So we've got an olive green, and then a purple, and then we've got autumn oak there for this year. So that is generally how I choose my inks on a weekly basis. I'm just trying to find a 5-year techo looking stamp. Can't seem to find one, but maybe I'll just draw it with my Fidenesque pen. I will say that the 5-year techo has been a little bit of a struggle for me this year. I'm just finding it hard to stick with it because there's so many other journals that I want to try. But I keep reminding myself that it will be worth it, and also it's the original Tomoe River paper as well, so that's what keeps me going. Okay, question number 3. Let me just open this up on my phone. And the question is, which pen do you prefer for longer writing sessions? What I might do is actually use my Sandby Endless letter stamps to signify the topic of each question. I love these little stamps. They fit so perfectly in the grid of this Hobonichi Day Free notebook. So my longest writer, it would have to be, I would say, a thicker pen. So these 3, the Pilot 823 Custom, the TWSBI Diamond 580 and the TWSBI Diamond Mini. These pens are long writers to me. There's just something about the thickness of these pens that makes it a more comfortable writing experience for longer writing sessions. But I would say my favorite at the moment would be the Esterbrook SD. I have this in the Jurassic color. I'll pop the unboxing video here if you're interested in watching that. But this is in a fine nib, but because it is a American pen and it's using a German Jowo nib, it is a little bit more on the thicker side, at least in comparison to Japanese nibs. And because of the size of the nib, it makes me write bigger, so generally that makes it strain less when I'm holding my pen, especially with my weird quad grip. I think that's what it's called. Quadrupod, that's it. I have been writing like this forever. It's kind of like a death grip. But I don't really have any intention to change it because that is what I find comfortable, and I have tried to change it before. It's just hard, guys. Maybe one day I'll get there, but for now this is it, and I'm just going to pop down a little stamp of a fountain pen nib. This set is from Everyday Explorers Co. I'll be stocking them soon on my website. I already have their washi tapes, so check them out if you're interested. I fell in love with this brand when I saw them on Abby C's YouTube channel, and they're just great. They're really great high quality stamps, and I like using them as prompts, and they're great for filling in little spaces just like I'm doing here. Perfect. Moving on to question 4. What is your all-time favorite pen? And this one will come as no surprise to my subscribers or Instagram followers. Actually, I've got to remember I'm doing the little headings. So my favorite pen would have to be this one here. It is the Nagasawa Sailor Pro Gear Slim, and this is the limited edition Hamori B pen. I will pop the unboxing video here for you, but it is such a beautiful pen with this beautiful gold nib. And an additional reason why I love this pen is because it is kind of the namesake of this movie called Perfect Days, which I watched a few months back, and I absolutely loved it. And if you haven't seen it before, I do highly recommend it. It is a very quiet movie, but it's very deep and meaningful. So I loved this pen as soon as I saw it pop up on my Instagram feed, and I had to buy it straight away. It was quite a splurge, but I love it so much and I have absolutely no regrets. If I could only save one pen from my collection, this one would be it. It is also, I believe, the only limited edition pen in my collection as well. I will mention though, when I first got this pen, it was a bit scratchy. It is a fine nib, so I sent it back and just paid the shipping cost, and they tuned it and it is now perfect. So if that ever happens to you and that service is available to you, I definitely recommend it because it made such a difference to the writing experience of this pen. Okay, now on to question 4. If you could choose one nib size, which would it be? I have the perfect stamp for this. I did mention earlier in the video that I am now leaning more towards a medium nib, and my current favorite has to be this Sailor Pro Gear Slim medium nib. And my Nagasawa fine nib is actually quite close to the medium. I would say it's like a medium fine rather than a fine, which I also really enjoy. I do have a medium fine nib in my collection. It is this 1911S pen, and I do really enjoy writing with this one as well. Just trying to show you the MF that is on the nib, but I'm really struggling here with the focus on this camera. Yeah, I don't know if you'll see it, but it is a beautiful, beautiful nib. And the thickness is somewhere between the medium and the fine. Okay, just a few more questions to go. We are now on question 6. What is your favorite nib grind? Now, I haven't had the privilege of being able to try out a bunch of nib grinds. The only time I've ever been able to try different pen grinds is at the Melbourne Pen Show, and also when CY came to Melbourne. So I had him custom grind 2 pens for me. One was a monoline and the other was an architect grind. And it was so hard to get those personal one-on-one sessions with CY, but I'm so glad I did it because I absolutely love those 2 pens, and I'm so lucky to be able to have CY do them because he came all the way from Japan or America to attend the Melbourne Pen Show, and those slots sold out within minutes. But I was able to book in a slot at Bookbinders Design. So this here is my architect grind, and that is on the Platinum 3776 in a medium nib, and I believe this is a 14K nib as well. And this nib was originally on my Platinum Laurel Green pen, but CY was able to swap them out for me, and now I have the architect nib on my beautiful celluloid pen. And now that I have a couple custom grinds, I am keen to try out a few more. I'm not sure how I'd go about it, probably at the Melbourne Pen Show, but I guess we'll see, and if I do have any updates, I'll be sure to share them with you guys. Okay, question 7. If you could only use one ink for the rest of your life, what would it be? I already know what stamp I'm going to use for this question. It is another Everyday Explorers stamp, and it is like the ink splatter one that I keep seeing on Instagram. Now, before we go into the one ink I would use for the rest of my life, I do want to do a special mention for this Autumn Oak ink. I usually have it paired with my Manyo Nuts pen, and I just feel like that is one of the best combos. But if I could only use one ink, it would have to be a green one, and it would be this Very Swirl Press Peter Moss ink, and I would pair it with this Nagasawa pen. And this is actually one of the first inks, or ink bottles I should say, that I added to my collection, and it is still one of my favorites. I just think it is the perfect shade of green, and clearly a green fan here. What I'm just going to do is use one of my glass dip pens, just the end of it, so that I can do a little ink swatch. Using the end of the glass dip pen is one of my favorite ways to do an ink swatch. It just gives this good blob effect, and the amount of ink that it can hold helps you kind of show the shading in the ink. I do also want to show you the bottle by Very Swirl Press. I just feel like they do an excellent job of packaging and branding. There's just something a bit whimsical and luxe about this bottle. I think I'm gonna do some little decorations around the Peter Moss ink swatch, just to show my love for this ink as well. Okay, I think that'll do. Just something simple. Next up is question 8. What is an absolute deal breaker for you for a pen and for an ink? I feel like most people would have the same answer for the pen deal breaker, which for me would be if it was a scratchy nib. I previously bought a Pilot Vanishing Point in I believe it was an extra fine nib, and it was so scratchy. I couldn't stand it, so I had to return it. I tried so hard to love that pen as well, but I just couldn't. I couldn't do it. And my ink deal breaker is if the ink consistently bled through Tomoe River or Traveller's Company Midori paper. And the bleed through on Tomoe River paper hasn't really been an issue up until they changed the paper to the Sands and Tomoe River paper. And I feel like a lot of people are experiencing that this year, and I'm not entirely sure if it is the ink's fault. So I'm saying that's an ink deal breaker, but it also is dependent on the paper as well. Okay, let's finish this up with the last question, which is a bonus question. What is one pen everyone should have? And I think my answer will be a fairly predictable one, considering a majority of my pens are Sailor pens. And I think this is a common favorite amongst the community. I just feel like this is a really good starting point if you are wanting to invest in your collection and perhaps buy some gold nib pens. So yeah, everyone should have a Sailor pen. I would suggest starting with a Sailor Pro Gear Slim if you're wanting to get a gold nib. I don't have much experience with their steel nibs, but I am sure they're fine as well. What I love about these pens most is the feedback you get when writing with a Sailor nib. I'd say it is similar to writing with a grey lead pencil. The other great thing about Sailor pens is that there is a huge variety. So it is likely that you'll be able to find a colour combination that suits your style. Another positive is that it is a Japanese pen, which generally has a thinner nib. And I would say for a gold nib pen, they are quite affordable. You are able to find some relatively well-priced ones on Amazon or eBay. So yeah, I'd say those are all valid reasons for you to have a Sailor pen in your collection. That is pretty much all of the 8 questions plus the bonus one for this video. I'll just bring this a little closer so you can see what I've written there. I did enjoy answering these questions last year and also this year, so another shout out to Simone and Leanne Likes for starting this video chain. And so that takes us to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed hearing me ramble on about pens. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you would like to see more fountain pen and stationery content, please hit the subscribe button, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Bye!